solve an absolute value equation with multiple steps. So earlier video, we've done a basic absolute value equation, but what happens when there's more involved? So before we get to those, let's remember the definition of absolute value. Well, absolute value is the distance on the real number line between the real number and the origin. So the origin is 0. So you're basically asking yourself, how many units from 0 is that number? So if I think of the absolute value of 4, well, the number 4 is 4 units from 0, so the absolute value is 4. Remember, the vertical bars imply absolute value. Now, we also know that the absolute value of -4 is 4, because -4 is also 4 units from 0. So you'll notice whatever comes out of the absolute value bars is positive. So because both values are 4 units from the origin, they both have an absolute value of +4. Now let's take that and let's go into our multi-step equations dealing with an absolute value. So we're going to solve 3 plus 2 times the absolute value of the quantity x minus 3 minus 5 equals 6. There are some steps to this. So first you'll notice on the left side we have a 3 minus 5, both on the outside. And we know that we need to isolate the absolute value expression. So we first need to deal with those like terms. So I've got a 3 minus 5. They're both constants, so I can put them together. So the 3 minus 5 is going to give us a -2. So I have -2 plus 2 times the quantity x minus 3 equals 6. Now, again, we're going to work on getting that absolute value expression by itself. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Now I have that +2 times the absolute value quantity of x minus 3. Now it equals 8 because 6 plus 2 is 8. I'm still working on isolating the absolute value expression. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 2. That leaves me with the absolute value of x minus 3 equals 4. Now we have a basic absolute value equation, so we can split that into 2, because we know inside that absolute value bar could be a positive or a negative, and it will still pop out a positive. So my first equation is exactly what you see. X minus 3 is 4. I add 3 to both sides, and one of my answers is x equals 7. My other equation, remember we set inside of the absolute value bars equal to the negative value. So x minus 3 equals a -4. Again, I add 3 to both sides, and I end up with x equals -1. So I have 2 answers to this, both of which will make that equation true. You can always go back, substitute those x values into your original equation, and solve. Let's do another one. We've got 5 minus 3 times the absolute value quantity of x minus 2 equals 20. Again, our goal is to isolate the absolute value expression, and then we will write our 2 equations. So we don't have like terms this time to combine, so we simply will start by subtracting 5 from both sides. That leaves us with the -3 times the absolute value expression x minus 2. That equals 15. Next, again, we're still isolating the absolute value expression, so I divide both sides by -3. That's going to leave us with the absolute value of x minus 2 equals -5. Now at this time, alarm bells should be going off, because we know when things pop out of the absolute value bars, positive. Well, this is popping out a -5. And the absolute value of an expression is always positive, never negative. Therefore, there is no value of x that makes this true.